So the Emperor's Blades. Yeah. The reason why I'm doing this book first is I read this in August of 2018 and now it's July of 2019. So I kind of had to reread some points and get some things done I wanted to be able to do this review. Okay, so The Emperor's Blades. How do I sum up this book? Just so you guys know, this will be a spoiler-free review, and then depending on how I want to do the review series, if I'm really into the book, I'll do a complete spoiler, basically, video on a book that I really like. This book I enjoyed. I'll just let you know right now, if you're just here to see if you should buy it, you should definitely buy it. It's a really great book. Like, it's a really good book. I really enjoyed the story building that the author ended up putting forward. I enjoyed the characters, well, most of the characters, I'll get into that in a second, and I really enjoyed the pacing. And the world building, oh my god, the world building! That's what makes or breaks a fantasy. And the mythos that the author ends up putting around the book is top-notch. But here's the thing. So, the author, Brian Staveley, I believe that's how it's pronounced, he ended up putting kind of cliffhanger at the end, which I'm totally cool with. I'm fine with cliffhangers, I'm fine with prolific sayings, or I'm fine with to be continued, but I don't like a dun dun dun, like to be continued at the end of a book. I believe each book that is read should have a definitive ending to that specific story. While it has an overarching story that it needs to portray, it still needs to have that. It still needs to have that, we're done with this book. Whenever The Emperor's Blade ended, I wanted it to be, this book is done. But that's not the case. It ends kind of on a to be continued note. I just have to dock it for that. I can't give it a great rating because of that. This is how I think during this. That being said, though, I have some notes here that I kind of want to go over. So the overall story quality is good. You should buy it. Story quality, I would give it about an 8 out of 10. The reason why I would do an 8 out of 10 is because there are some points where I'm like, did you really need it? The main thing whenever you write and whenever you read, it's always get to the point. What's the point? I understand the fluff that you put there to make sure the content you're making is engaging and well thought out and good. There's some points when I'm like, it's almost like a Stone of Tears by Terry Goodkind in the second book, where it's like, okay, this is going on for way too many pages. Not like Stone of Tears, where it's 200-300 pages, but there are still some moments. So the main characters are Caden, Valen, and Adair. Adair? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So the main book is about Caden and Valen. Now, the thing I really like about these two characters is Caden is kind of like this really cool monk, and then Valen has this really cool swashbuckler story. Adair is kind of like, she actually deals with some of my favorite parts of the book, and I really wish they would have included her more in the novel. So Valen is in a freaking badass order called the Catral, and they basically, oh my god, these birds right here, they freaking fly with those birds. They go into combat with these birds. They swoop down and destroy their enemy. They're badass soldier, Night's Watch, sailor, I don't even know how to explain it. That's one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, you need to read this book. I've never seen someone do a secret order like this. They're really cool. There might have been a story done with it before, but I don't know. This is the first time I ever read a story like this, and it's incredible. Whenever we go over to Caden, the two parts of the story, so we have Valen over here, swashbuckling badass with birds and basically super trained warrior. And then we go over to Caden. Caden's off in the mountains, he's a monk, and spoiler alert, their dad dies. That's the entire premise of the book. The Emperor's dead, and that means Caden is heir to the unhewn throne. So basically the royal guards of the world have to go, and they have to make Caden aware that, hey, it's your turn to be emperor, but someone murdered your father. But basically Caden has to struggle with that throughout the entire novel, and then Valen goes through basically trials. He basically goes through trials as any order would do. And in Adair, she has some really, really cool things. There's a priest that kind of like takes hold of the kingdom in religious kind of ways. There's that cool string underneath. She has to deal with the political gain, and a general, which is the regent lord of the land until Caden returns and takes the mantle as emperor. There's a lot of strings going on, which I'm perfectly okay with, but that's the main problem I have with the story. All those strings seem like they got pretty much... all those strings are going underneath, and then you finish the story, and it's like a dun-dun-dun to be continued. Which, I'll get to the second book eventually. Maybe there will be a good payoff. It's only a trilogy, from my understanding. The book was just released in 2014. So there's 2 more books to get through. I plan on getting through those, but I have a bunch that I'm trying to get through before the semester starts again. What would be my verdict on this? Okay. So my verdict on this book would be a 7 out of 10. And let me explain my reasoning why. I have to dock points because it's not a well-rounded novel and it doesn't do that punch at the end. It's not a contained novel. It doesn't give you that satisfaction at the end of completing something, because it's like, okay, we finished this storyline, but here's this part. Like, I don't want my story to continue on. Like, finish the novel, and then just finish the novel. Give me the satisfaction. I read through, I think it's like 400 pages or so. It's 400 and some change pages. The good points of it are the characters and the world he set up, but I just don't know if that's going to come through. I'm left uneasy with the book. It was a good story. I enjoyed it. It's worth your time. But you're not going to find anything... There were points that were amazing in it, but there are also points that you're going to grumble at, and you're going to be like, why is this in here? For me, I preferred Valen over Caden, and then I wish Adair had more time in the actual story. She does some really cool, badass political things. I don't know why she wasn't in the book more. I think it would have been really cool. So, there you go, guys. There's my first story review for you, and see you later.